I've got a chapter on happiness, which social scientists research these days, and also a chapter on social capital, which is people's sort of ability to leverage connections in their world to make things happen. The stuff about happiness is interesting. Happiness sounds like rather a fluffy kind of concept, doesn't it? And not the kind of thing that economists, which Richard Layard is in that book there, he's an economist, and you think, well, economists wouldn't be studying happiness because it seems much too kind of, it sounds like a soft concept that they couldn't get a handle on. But in fact, social scientists have discovered you can measure happiness, same as you can measure anything else. You just do surveys where you ask people how happy they feel, and they give you responses. You can aggregate those responses, and then obviously you find that in some places, some people are more willing to say that they're satisfied with their life than people in other places or in other circumstances. And so then you can start to look for what the variables and the factors are that influence these things, like what economists do with everything else. The point that comes from the happiness studies is, for one thing, and this may not surprise you, people are very bad at predicting what will make them happy. You ask anybody what will make them happy, well then the first thing they tend to think of is if you could sort of give them double their income, say, that would be really nice and would surely make them happy because they're struggling at the moment, things are difficult, and more money is an obvious kind of one that everybody thinks would make them more happy. And it is true for people who are living in poverty that more money does make a significant difference to their lives, and so this doesn't give David Cameron an excuse to make poor people even poorer. But for everybody else, actually having more money does create a peak where they're suddenly much more happy with the opportunities that seem to be available to them, but after a few months they just revert to the same level of happiness they were at before. And so in that sense, money doesn't make you more happy than what you were before. The things that do make people happy are quite straightforwardly human relationships. Richard Layard even goes as far as saying love is a defining thing that sort of is one of the keys to happiness. But relationships, a network of people you can rely on and talk to and to not be lonely. And also doing stuff, having a sense of control in your life, making things, obviously I'm going to say, is important here. He says, scratch any happy person and you will find a project. So it's about people having projects, things to work on where they feel like they're doing something, making things happen within their lives. Does contribute to people's satisfaction with their life, unlike, you know, lots of other things that people think are going to make them happy and don't.